In the creative arts industry, the murder of a project is considered especially heinous. The dedicated detectives who investigate these vicious felonies are members of an elite squad known as the Pitch Bleak Unit. The cases are real. The victims are real. The Yeti, oh yeah, it's real. On today's episode, Geraldine Quinn, singer, songwriter, comedian, cabaret artist. This powerhouse performer with a string of celebrated shows over 2 decades should have had the world at her feet. But when it comes to the Australian entertainment A-list, her name is suspiciously absent. Who or what has it in for Quinn? Just where is this should-be superstar? It's time to locate a missing person on the True Creative Crime podcast, Pitch Bleak.
Just a little girl, my mother sat me down and told me all about the world. She said, Jerry, there'll be times when things just don't go your way, and when they don't, remember these 3 things I have to say, which should help you when life seems unfair. The world is fucked, they're all cunts, no one cares.
Interview begins 3:42 p.m. Detectives Hayden Bevis and Chris Kent present.
Would you state your name for the tape, please?
Sure. Geraldine Quinn. Quinn, double N.
2 N's.
At the start or the end?
No, the end.
Oh, sorry.
At the start
Of the Quinn.
We are going to talk about this later.
Hey, guys.
Now, I don't want this to be a combative start because we actually appreciate your assistance with this investigation, Ms. Quinn, because frankly, this one has us bamboozled.
Okay, I've been told not to talk to the cops, but
Yeah,
give it a go.
But we are fake cops, so
Oh, that's all right then.
it's fine. It's fair to say we've solved a lot of creative murders over the past couple of years of doing this, but I don't know that we have had a missing persons case like this one. And as the missing person in question, there we are hoping that you can shed some light on your own whereabouts.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Because by our reckoning, and we have investigated this exhaustively, we've talked to the boys in the lab, we've worked around the clock, we are pretty sure that Geraldine Quinn should be a household name.
Outside of my family's household anyway.
Certainly in this country, possibly several others. But it seems it's not quite the case. We want to know who's responsible.
Comedian, singer, cabaret artist, how would you describe yourself?
Oh, number one, I'm a singer-songwriter. And then everything else was a desperate attempt to elbow my way into industries in order to continue singer-songwriting. Really, if I'm honest. When am I not?
So you feel like you've taken on other guises, perhaps other titles in order to try and slip the singer-songwriter into other places?
No, that's incorrect.
Okay.
I think you're misrepresenting me there.
Yep.
Objection sustained. Oh, anyway,
Yep.
I think when I was a kid, I really loved music and songwriting and singing. And then when I was a bit older, I really loved theatre. I'm a theatre wanker kid. And I actually got into theatre groups as an undergraduate in studying English. And then I ended up going to acting school, and it was at the end of that I had a great teacher who said you should probably do something with music because you're kind of too good at it to not do something with music. And then that's how I fell into cabaret.
Just for the record, which acting school was
I went
that?
to National Theatre Drama School, St Kilda. My director of drama was Babs McMillan.
Was there a particular performance of music that your teacher was like, that's it? Like there was something that was like, you can't go back?
I don't know. I probably just sang some stuff. I remember being really disappointed when they had like an intensive weekend at this 3-year senior acting course, and we were all given different intensive workshops to do, like Buto or, like really interesting stuff like that. Buto's the one I really remember well because they did such a beautiful piece in their presentation, and I got put in music theatre and I went, you lazy so-and-sos, what am I going to learn here?
It says here you auditioned for the first production of Rent.
I did.
Is that right?
I did.
When was that?
In the 90s
The
sometime?
90s. So what happened there?
I didn't get in.
You didn't get in?
No.
Why not?
Okay, so an interesting backstory for me for complete comedy nerds is that I have been friends with Scott Brennan for about this long. Scott Brennan is in Skid House and and Granny Bingo. And anyway, we were in... Did I mention I was a theatre wanker? We were in a production of Marat Sard, which was on in a fringe festival upstairs at the Athenaeum. And that's how we met. And I actually asked him if he would play piano for me for that Rent audition. He wasn't free. But he... Anyway, I asked my brother-in-law, who is a jazz piano player, did he have a copy of this particular song? Don't remember which song it was. And he was like, yeah. And I said, the only thing is, can you just make sure, I don't know much about my range. I learned everything by ear. Can you make sure it's in a key that's okay for me? Yeah, good, yeah, no problem, yeah, good. So I found out it wasn't in my key when they started playing it in the audition. And to add a little bit of spice to that audition process, I'd also caught an incredibly heavy cold from somebody in my day job workplace who dragged themselves into work because that's the culture that we have in this country, that people drag themselves in and infect everyone else.
So you've tried to croak your way through
a too high song.
A too high song for Rent, for people who are too young to remember this was such a cultural phenomenon at the time. It was,
but also because they opened the audition process to anyone.
Is that unusual?
Yeah, it is unusual.
So is this like huge round the block?
Huge round the block kind of audition process. It took a lot of courage to actually sign up. And then when it goes as badly as it did, excise from brain. Forget all feelings of shame. Didn't work.
Do we know if anyone from Rent was just anyone, or did they actually go for professionals the whole time? Was
Christine Anu was in that first one, I think.
Okay.
I think. And I have met somebody since who was who at least auditioned and possibly got into the cast.
Okay.
It's not a great musical.
After that early experience with presumably some disappointment,
you
didn't let that stop you, dusted yourself off, kept going.
Well, I dusted myself off and kept going with working in customer service.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is I like to think of it as the cradle of creativity. You imagine all the other things that you could be doing. At some point between customer service and the future, you did step into the cabaret world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you should do something with music, like a cabaret, I went, what the fuck's that? And I went to see Tim Minchin and Eddie Perfect and Mark Jones and Melissa Langton. They were the first three cabarets I ever saw. And this was 2004-ish. And by that point, I actually was quite ensconced in the local comedy scene as a punter. So I'd actually DJ'd a couple of after parties at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival Club.
Yep.
So I've felt, you know how everyone feels like an imposter or performers? I really, really felt like an imposter when I first registered because I was like, oh, you all know me as a DJ punter. I'd actually trained as an actor for those 3 years and I just wasn't getting anywhere. And one thing I thought was, this is a bit boring, but it's true. I had the privilege of being able to write stuff. And I didn't like the life of actors who sit there and wait to get a call. And I was, not a conventionally pretty female in the Australian entertainment industry in the early 2000s. So what the fuck else was I going to do? Yeah, I saw those three shows. They were literally the first three cabarets I ever saw. And I think that first one I did was kind of a workshop thing with Mark Jones, who's absolutely magnificent. If you're in the industry, you know how great he is. And then I went, I want to write my own stuff. I don't want to sing other people's songs all the time. I didn't have a band. I didn't play anything particularly well. I didn't have money to pay people to play and stuff. And I came out of like 90s kind of culture and where the attitude to women in bands was still fucking shit. And I didn't want to just be an actor and not sing.
Yeah.
So it kind of made sense. I didn't necessarily want to be funny. And some would say, still not. This is gin. Yeah, that's what happened. And I did my first comedy festival in 2005 and my first Edinburgh in 2005.
That's a big step to do in your first.
Yeah, I have no idea what I was
time
doing.
round.
I had no idea.
Did you just think, oh, that's what you do? You just go to Edinburgh
Well,
as well?
when Karen Corrin comes up to you and says, do you want to come and play at the Gilded Balloon? And you're 29, nearly 30 years old. And you go, yeah, okay. And she'd also asked some guy called Tim Mention. He's in a slightly bigger room than me.
You got a Green Room Award in that year? So
Yeah,
was
I
that for
won
2000
Best Emerging.
So did you think, oh, this is it? I'm going?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, that's massive. You do your first show, somebody says, hey, you need to come to Edinburgh.
Can I just point out, I had to share it with someone else. So I didn't even win it.
Oh, so
I won half an award.
In your eyes, does that feel diminished? Because
Yes.
Really? Because that's I think for a lot of people, that's a huge
As opposed to
big
winning
prize.
it on your own.
Oh, just winning it at all.
Are you trying to say I'm ungrateful?
In a day, no, we're reframing. For essentially for a debut show, as Detective Bevis suggests, it must have felt like things are afoot.
Yeah, I guess getting asked to Edinburgh felt like that too.
Yeah.
Festivals give you a framework.
I know certainly my own perception at that time of the whole Edinburgh, going to Edinburgh, it was such this incredible pilgrimage. Essentially, the career progression would be
You poor
that
sweet baby.
you get. Oh, I never went. But you go to Edinburgh and then somebody anoints you when you're there and go, yes, you are a chosen one and here is a television show for
It's
you.
complicated. Do you want me to explain it to the
Yes.
jury?
Yeah.
It is a mix of, yes, that idea of I'll go to Edinburgh and I'll get discovered. Unfortunately, I went the year that actually happened to an unprecedented degree, which was Tim. Not unfortunate for him and not undeserved, just a case of, whoa, bye. Okay. Also, we've got a cultural cringe. So we do expect, and that certainly happened with Minch. He went away. He moved because the industry is not very big here. So you either move because the industry is, and we've got histories of expats through all of our art forms. But also there's this idea of when you come back and people get impressed that you went to Edinburgh and you almost at pains to remind them it is an open festival and anyone can go. It's the hardest you'll ever work. If you're happy to do that and expect to have a fantastic gig and then 4 hours later the worst gig of your life, you'll come back pretty bulletproof. But don't necessarily think it's going to change everything. But that's true of all of the arts, isn't it? I think there's still a little bit of my brain that thinks there'll be a break and it'll all change. And even though that actually happened to Tim, I remember him saying to me once, like, it doesn't make anything any different. It would probably make it easier, though.
As someone who's never been to Edinburgh, hasn't really thought of that. Why do you have to work really hard? Like what?
Because the whole world's there. The whole world. There's acts from all over the world. It's concurrent with the film festival, the book festival, and the arts festival as well. It's very hard to get attention there. And you're vying for that attention with a tremendous amount of other acts. It's just the biggest festival you can think of.
Yeah.
Why is that not daunting to you?
Well, it is now.
It should be. And your mate might be having an absolutely ripping time and you're sitting there playing to two people in a converted administration office that has the windows boarded up. So it has the residual heat of every single audience member over a 14 to 16-hour period because they cram in as many shows as they can in that room. Plus I was drinking then and smoking. I wasn't well. I'm lucky I came back in one piece.
But you did come back in one piece.
I did. I came back in one piece 5 times.
From an outside perspective, you could say Geraldine Quinn's star.
Geraldine
Quinn's. I'm getting away with absolutely nothing from you. Star on the rise. Tell us about what I believe is your first TV appearance in 2009.
Oh.
Spicks and Specks.
Yeah. I also thought everything was going to change after that one as well. I managed to get on as a comedian because, there's comedian chairs and there's musician chairs.
Oh, right, yes.
So I was in a comedian chair.
Did you want to be in the musician chair?
No, but I got to be in a musician chair later on.
Okay.
Yeah, but I just found that because Scott Edgar came up to me and was like, I'm jealous you actually got to sit in like the proper musician spot. And I was the comedian on that one. So, yeah.
Why is it, just as an aside, comedians all want to be musicians and musicians all want to be comedians?
I don't know.
No?
I couldn't answer that because I'm
true,
literally and provably both. So how can I possibly comment?
She has been in both chairs. So, but 2009, Spicks and Specks, big night for you.
Yeah.
Apparently something else significant was going on at the same time.
Yeah. That's the other thing about it is no one watched it because Michael Jackson's funeral was being aired on the same night. And I thought my one chance was my one chance. And no one saw it. Anyway, so I didn't get back on telly for quite a lot of years. I wasn't responsible for Michael Jackson dying.
That's a separate investigation. So on one of these trips to Edinburgh, you did get noticed by a producer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think I had some well-meaning but slightly cooked friends who were trying to introduce me to people. I got introduced to this guy up at the rooftop bar at Gilded Balloon. He was I remember his name. It was probably James. They're probably all called James or Peter or something. This seems like a very early 2000s producer kind of thing. He was a tall, rakish white guy, clean shaven. And again, I'm not narrowing it down. And he took a shine to me and was like, oh, we could do this for you, we could do that for you. And then he sort of started asking about going to Paris for the weekend, like coming up. And I went, yeah, no, I don't know who you are. And it's like, oh, no, it would be great. Like we could just go, it'll just be like, it's just there. And of course, I don't even know, I'm a very nervous traveller at the best of times, but with strange men, doubly so. 1,000-fold so. And I just thought, what is going on? Why would you think that's an okay thing to ask someone? And my slightly cooked friend, when I told them, expecting them to be just as outraged as I was at what was a very, I believe, thinly veiled come on, thought I was an idiot for not taking the opportunity.
Oh, what?
Being a woman in the arts. Oh, the world.
Hi, Mrs. McCormick, how you doing? I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. I guess you'd say I was still singing. No, nothing that's paying, but that's all right. I'm living round the corner, yeah, with Mum and Dad. But with the rental market the way it is, I know it's really bad.
Flash forward, 2011.
That's a year I thought would change a lot of things.
You're a Moosehead recipient.
I was a Moosehead recipient.
Do you know what a Moosehead is?
I don't know what a Moosehead is.
Can you briefly tell us what a
the
Moosehead
Moosehead is named after Brian McCarthy's favourite beer. And Brian McCarthy was a big comedy fan, the uncle of Kevin at Token. And he was very sadly killed in, I believe it was a car accident, quite young. And they do a Moosehead Gala every year to raise money to then give to projects that are exciting and to help give them a leg up to the next sort of level. And it doesn't pay for your production costs, at least back then. It doesn't pay for your production costs, but it'll help give you some money towards a director, your registration fee and a venue guarantee and your printing and publicity and stuff. So it's a
pretty big boost for...
It's a big boost of But any, like for me, I had to pay for all my music tracks.
Right. Okay.
Because I didn't have a live band. So I got asked, you have to get your director approved. And I asked for Casey Bonetto to be director, which effectively made him the producer of the tracks as well. And I pitched an idea, which was a show of rock anthems, but about ordinary people, about the sort of area that I grew up in, which was outer suburban Melbourne, and actually Wagga, where I was born. Lived in Henty for a little while, which is a pretty small town.
With an excellent field day.
My dad would go to the Henty field day every year. It's a blink and you'll miss it town, is the way my dad used to call it. And what happened with Henty was when my parents got married and moved there, they had my first 4 siblings were born in Henty. Dad bought an undertaker's business because it came with a house. Like it was a package. So it was the 1960s. And it's like, I don't know. Okay.
So like, I guess I'm the Undertaker now.
Yeah.
How is that not a film? Amazing.
When I was writing my show, this year's show about my brother, Declan Fay and I were talking about whether we were going to show like slides, and it seemed a bit twee, and it's more stuff to bring to a show anyway. And people have done slides, but I thought, well, we're not sure. So I was trawling like Gumtree, trying to find, just keep my eyes open, right? And then I found $50 a slide projector, like a good old late 70s, early 80s slide projector. Yeah, like that. And so I took it around to Mum's house. And I said, Mum, have you got any slides? Because I need to check if this works, because if it doesn't, then the whole thing's out the window, right? Yeah. So I go around and Mum pulls out this wooden box of slides, and I didn't have the screen at that point, so I was just putting it up against the way too glossy door in the kitchen, and there were pictures in there of my dad with the hearse in Henty, which I'd never seen. Oh. And like early 60s stuff. And then I found a photo of my mum and my dad standing in front of, I think it was in front of a Dunlop sign actually.
Yeah.
And my dad it's probably 1963. My dad had my sister Andre on his hip. And just every photo, by the way, of him and Mum, he just looked so chuffed, like he just won the absolute lottery. And I've taken a photo with my phone of this picture of Mum and Dad and Andre, and I sent it to my sister, and she's like, I've never seen this before.
Wow.
Never seen it. Like there's a whole bunch of them that we'd never, because we didn't have a fucking slide projector.
Yeah, okay.
And then Mum cracked the shits and went, you said you were just going to check if it worked. So I don't know what was going on there.
Don't keep clicking.
That's a complicated relationship. But anyway, so the show was You're the Voice, Songs for the Ordinary by an Anthemaniac. It's a great album. It's available. And yeah, it's got a lot of songs on it about, I guess I love the idea of writing really big epic songs, but about really ordinary local Australianness.
Yeah.
I do resent the cultural cringe that this country has, because I really believe, get serious for a minute, kids, I really believe that creating work should be about finding connections for people. And I think that all the differences about us all over the world and the ways that we tell stories, or the ways that we tell the same stories in different ways, I love that duality of these points of difference and the unifying message and connection that we get. And I do think that it's a shame that Australia has so much, not just cringe, but like a weird classism with country / outer suburban. And I wanted to try to not be an intellectual snob, which I think can happen a bit sometimes when, with the best of intentions, we're trying to get a joke. Does that make sense?
Yes. It does, and it made sense to the good folks at the festival, because you received for that show the Golden Gibbo Award. For the people who don't know,
the best local independent production named after the late and great Linda Gibson.
Yeah, one of the big awards of the festival, prestigious. Yeah. Now, I believe that in the wake of this win, you had a meeting with the ABC?
I did. Right? I had a meeting with a woman at the ABC. She didn't ask me to Paris, and that's fine.
The ABC doesn't have money for that.
No.
Come to Henty.
Let's go to Henty for the weekend. You're driving. Can can I claim this back? No,
No,
you're not
you
even going to
cannot.
get the dollar. Anyway, so yes, and they were very kind of interested in the show. And they were like, "Oh, are you bringing it to Sydney? Because we could film it, they weren't filming a lot of shows then." And I was like, "Oh, no, I'm not. I'd love to, but like I can't because I can't afford it." And they went, "Oh, well, and it never got filmed.
Oh, and is that the same year? Did you go on Speaks and Speaks again that year?
I did because I was working there. I was a researcher,
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
and I think someone might have. I think someone dropped out, but also I then won a Gibbo Award, and I think that a few people looked around and went, "Oh, yeah, probably should put it back on." And that's when I got in the musician chair.
Okay, last time was a Michael Jackson funeral. He can't die again.
No,
So
definitely did.
this time is it. But I'm led to believe here that this had a big clash with maybe an Ashes test.
There was a massive cricket thing on.
Again, forces beyond your control conspire to.
I don't remember very well that one. I played the fifth.
All right, we'll
You don't plead in the police
No,
interviews.
here you do.
But basically, it didn't open up a lot of doors.
Yeah.
and then there was no opportunity for a third appearance on Specs and Specs.
No, they axed it.
Axed it.
They axed
Was that your
it.
fault?
Probably. No. It was Adam and Miff and Alan all decided they wanted to do some other stuff, which was fine. I really was so excited. In fact, Adam came up to me at one point and said, "I'm mostly sad for you because you just got here." I got to hold the Logie once.
2013. You do get another TV spot lined up on Adam Hill's show.
Adam Hill's in Gordon Street tonight. Gordon Street's where they used to have the old Rip and Lee
Yep.
studio, which was where all those wonderful countdown episodes were filmed. That was pretty cool, getting to go to that building for work. Being a kid growing up in the 70s. So much asbestos, though.
But again, some fate intervened.
So they decided they were going to do an episode that was going to be a Princess Bride special. Great film. Love the film. It's wonderful. And I was being asked to come on and sing an original song, but I wasn't any specific character from The Princess Bride. Craig McLachlan was, and gee, he had a lot of energy. And anyway, I was just a random buxom kind of wench vibe. So I was put in this outfit and I sang one of my own songs. And I was like, great, I'm just singing a song. I'm not being interviewed, nothing like that. But hey, I'm happy to be here. And the other guest there was a cast from a musical that was opening like the next week or something like that. So it was this brand new special. We finished it up. Everyone was super happy. Everyone was like, yeah, that was great. That was so good. It's going to be on next whenever it is. It's going to be so good. Thank you so much to have this special episode that's just one time only, a theme episode, just the only time it's going to be so great when it airs in the near future. And then on the night that it was going to air, there was a tsunami that
Solomon Islands.
So that was bad, a very serious disaster. And I in no way am disappointed that it didn't air for a number of weeks because that's a natural disaster and people lost their lives and their houses. I did feel a bit bad for the musical because that was their big promo and they were opening the next week.
Yeah.
I went, well, that's a little bit shit for me and a lot shit for the people who were affected by the tsunami. And then when it did air, people were super confused why it was this Princess Bride episode for no reason. It also seemed even more kind of garishly distasteful. Here's the one that we were going to show. When all the people were...
So watch this, but keep thinking about... Think about while you're watching it.
No, I don't have a boyfriend, yes. I'm still unemployed, and yes, I'm writing my songs, and yes, I did see my friend on the telly. Yes, I am happy for him. No, I don't really call him great. You think I should watch it away?
2014, another Moosehead Award, a whole bunch of awards.
I got another Moosehead for my show, yeah.
What was the show for 2014?
Modern Day Maiden Aunt, also known as MDMA.
Another green room.
Oh, Green Room's coming out my butt. That's the first time I won Best Artist, though, I think.
Oh,
Surely this was a turning point.
I feel like that was for body of work, though, which just takes a bit of the edge off it. The show's not good enough. You know, I won a bloody original songs show for Green Room's Original Songs Award.
We didn't have space for all
No,
the
it's so
awards.
many. But I won one in 2011, but it was for the 2 shows I wrote that year.
Oh,
I wasn't nominated
just
for
a couple
separate.
of shows.
I should have had 2 separate. Goddamn.
they put them together?
They put them together. So I had to share my Best Emerging. And then the next one I won was for the songs from 2 different full-hour shows.
So you had to share it with yourself?
With myself.
Yeah.
And then the next
worst.
one was Body of Work. I think it was Body of Work. I might be wrong. But anyway.
There's this element of you going, yeah, I got this award, but I had to share it with Geraldine Quinn.
That hack.
Quite honestly, in sort of looking at your CV, there are so many awards and particularly nominations. You might be the most nominated artist in Australia.
I might be the most nominated Green Room artist in
which is
Cabaret.
Incredible.
Because I
Incredible
just
stuff.
keep doing shows.
And were you going to be on The Voice at one point?
Was, yeah. I auditioned. So I had to send in a video and then they asked me to come to the process and it was in this weird, have I signed anything that says I can't say this? I don't know. It was in a weird, not a house, not a garage, somewhere in between, suburbia.
What?
Yeah, it was like, it wasn't a studio.
What?
It was like not really a house, but not, I thought I was walking down a cobbled street to my death. Anyway, they were lovely, but a couple of things really struck me. One was they sit you down with the musical director and the people and they get you to sing some stuff. And he did a few scales with me and he said, oh, there's a bit more range in there that I can hear. And he was really, really good. And it's like, oh yeah, that's exciting. They got me to sing stuff for them live. I sang a Dusty Springfield song and I sang a McCalmont and Butler song. And then they put you in a room with a producer who asks a lot of questions. And I realised halfway through, you're trying to work out what my story is.
Yeah.
The best we could come up then was just being older in the industry, a woman. And going, well, what do you do? Like, I really want to do this for a living and I'm in my 30s. God, I thought I was so old then. So I found that a little distasteful. And then I read the contract and I realised, how can I say this and be cagey? I realised that okay, let me put it this way. I tried to argue that Geraldine Quinn as musical comedian was a different thing to Geraldine Quinn as singer because I had that Gordon Street Tonight that was booked. I had my album for You're the Voice about to come out, self-produced. And I wouldn't have been able to do anything.
Yeah.
I was booked in for Adelaide Fringe because you know how long you've got to put all your registrations for everything in.
And to be clear, so if you had signed this thing
I
for
would
The
have had to
Voice,
cancel
you
all of
can't
that.
do anything.
I wouldn't have been able
to
to release the album. I wouldn't have been able to do telly. I wouldn't have been able to. And I just had that stuff booked. And I just had such a bad run of, it's years in between me getting on telly.
Sure.
And I had the Adam Hills one. And I was like, oh, this is fantastic. It's such a good opportunity. And I tried hard to argue, but they're different. And they were like, we don't think they are. And so I pulled out. And I think one or two musician friends of mine think that was insane to do. But I kind of knew what kind of work I wanted to do. And I don't know if I was mentally fit for that at that time.
What type of mentally fit do you need to be on that show?
I think I would have resented being carved into a story.
Yes.
And I think that I would have resented the fact there's no room for the songs. They've got to be like cut down 2-minute versions. I'm not a big do as many vocal acrobatics as you can kind of a singer. I'm a storyteller singer. Yeah. So it takes as long as it takes to get there. And I'm really passionate about writing songs.
Yeah.
And that's not exactly the world that is. And I think in my heart, I feel like less competition's a good thing in the arts in terms of us not feeling like we're pitted against each other.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because we are, by the necessity of the tininess of industry and opportunities being scarce. I don't know that ethically I feel 100% comfortable with an entire franchise that is predicated on that.
Like a gladiatorial, like you're out, you're in, you're...
Yeah, and it doesn't let people not be hyperbolic. I mean, they applaud at every big note. And it's like, it doesn't mean anything anymore.
Well, let's bring it to the present in 2024.
Ugh.
Where is Geraldine Quinn now? How is she going?
I'm in an interrogation room.
All right, let's step back slightly before today. How are you feeling about, given all of this, given this absolutely crazy roller coaster of a career that you've been on?
She had so much promise, and yet she's
that your
still
take?
a fringe artist. I knew from quite a young age, before I ever set foot in a comedy festival, I knew that success to me meant if I can make a living out of this, then I've succeeded. I don't chase fame, clearly, but I'm saying that because I'm uncomfortable with vulnerability and I had to put on a silly voice. But I just want to be able to work and to earn enough to be able to work. I think I'm less purist than I was, and I'm more happy to look at different ways of being creatively fulfilled. I have no problem working a day job, don't worry. Like, I have no problem with that. I'm not being precious about that at all. It's just very hard to maintain any kind of office stuff and then go, can I have some time off to go do this?
Yeah.
It's just impossible. So I think that for me, I realised it is a vocation for me. I feel like I'd be really unhappy if I wasn't writing stuff, if I wasn't singing stuff. I think I'm very lucky to have worked with a lot of the people I've worked with. Some of the musicians I work with are, almost all of them, in fact, are just fucking extraordinary. And there isn't anything better than getting to play in a band with a bunch of really great people who are all kind of in it at the moment, to be laughing your balls off in a rehearsal. In some stinking rehearsal room in fucking, there was a great one in Moorabbin. It's bloody closed now, thanks COVID. So, and we'd go into these rooms where it just absolutely reeked of, I don't know, fucking Winnie Blues and herpes, and there'd be some amazing suburban dad band who just meets there every Wednesday, and they're just thrashing out covers of Glycerine by Bush or some shit. And I just love it. Like, I love that for all the roundabout way I've got to where I am and how much I want to do and how frustrating it is that I'm like, I don't know if I can do a show because I don't know if I've got the money. It's 20 years of comedy festival for me next year. The first one I did was 2005. I'm quite defiant. I'd love to be doing a stupid, big, funny cabaret in my 20th year of comedy festival, a few months shy of my 50th, and that I get to still play with people, which is all I really wanted to do at the start, was just to play music in a band.
When I was opening up this investigation, Geraldine, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was going to find that your career was possibly being stalked by fate. Or putting all the pieces together, a lot of sort of misfortunes, a lot of, mishaps, possibly missed opportunities. And I was, in fact, going to ask if you wish to be taken into creative protective custody. But quite honestly, hearing the way that you speak about what you do and the way you feel about your craft, I think it would be a tremendous loss to in any way remove you from the industry.
I saw Jack Tucker a few weeks after my brother died, and it was absolute chaos. And I went up to Zach afterwards and just went, that was the perfect thing for me to see in this headspace. And there was a guy who was really confused in his audience the whole way through and was really like resistant and confused. And I was hysterical because nothing else would have made more sense than that at that point.
Yeah.
And that's why you see stuff and you do stuff, because it might be that for somebody else. I think that's why you should do it. Because if you do it to try to make money out of it, I don't know if that's your sole reason. I don't know if that's going to make you happy.
Well, you were framing this as like, but if success for Geraldine is work.
Honestly, I'm starting to think there's no crime here. What I do typically on this is I write a list of suspects as we're going. We get to the end of the episode.
Capitalism.
We want to blame someone. Go, who's to blame for all of this? Blame capitalism. And then I'd run through them and, try and make little jokes. But now I sort of think, there's no...
It's capitalism.
Oh, capitalism. Capitalism?
Yeah.
Geraldine Quinn, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for filling in the blanks for us.
Thanks. I hope it was a reasonably entertaining interrogation.
I feel I've learned something. And if you have not had the pleasure of hearing Geraldine Quinn's work, your albums are available, available.
Very.
Online, Bandcamp.
I would go to Bandcamp, yeah.
Stunning songs and one of the best voices you will ever hear.
Thank you.
I'm very, very grateful for you coming in, Geraldine.
No problem.
You are free to go.
Oh, thanks. I'm going to sue the pants off you.
I landed an agent, the future was bright. Enlisted in workshops, sent out invites. But I only auditioned for mums. Mum after mum, I auditioned for mums. I was 26 next to a 50-plus actor playing my husband. I went up for mums. If only I was relatable. My agent would say, your look is unique, not girl next door dateable. They loved your audition, she tried to console. You just have to try hard at being less droll. Don't be downhearted, you'll get the next role. You're just not what they're looking for.
I like working with you, and I thought you did a good job.
Well, I don't like that you like working with me.
I know.
It's interfering with the whole, we've got a bad cop, good cop thing going. But you're liking the bad cop too much.
That is a
You're
good
liking the witness. You're liking me. You like the job.
And my other job. Talking of liking things, do you want to like something I've got an idea for?
It's unprecedented, but all right.
Has it got legs? You ready for my TV show idea?
TV show.
Yes.
Good luck.
Okay. All right. I haven't named it yet. I figure we can do that now in a second. Do you know John Daly, the golfer?
No.
John Daly was a golfer, famous for smoking, just big burly guy and just smack the ball. Bit of a rough around the edges character. Imagine Hulk Hogan, but as a golfer. Big in the 90s, still gets around. I saw a news article come up the other day, and the Australian property market has completely skewed my idea of how much houses are worth. So there was a hurricane that went through Miami and Florida area.
Yeah.
And the article, the headline was John Daly's $1.4 million mansion goes up in the hurricane. And I was like, what? Like, how far has John Daly felt that he has the equivalent $1.4 million house somewhere in Melbourne is not a mansion or somewhere in Australia. No. It's like, you have to go further out. But I was like, well, I was in my head, I was like, my thought instantly was I thought he would have like a $50 million mansion or something. But in Florida, obviously, it's cheaper to buy houses than it is in Australia. So then I was like, and then I just started looking at real estate in Florida because I was like, I wonder if I could live in Florida. And then I was like, how would I really know what it's like? And then I was like, a TV show, here's the idea. It's a TV show called Could I Live There or Burn It All Down? I don't know what its name is.
All right.
Do you sometimes get on like a real estate website and just go randomly, what is it like to live in Mudgee? How much would it be to buy a house here?
Never once in Mudgee, but yep.
Yeah, well, not Mudgee, but have you done it anywhere else?
No, I only look for properties that John Daly owns.
Well, like, you know, when you're like, if I am going to buy a house, where am I going to buy it? It's tough out there. But the show is like, what is it really like to live here? So if you do it within Australia, you would be like, what is it really like to live in Mudgee? But you have not just you don't have like a puff piece on Mudgee.
Yeah.
You would be like, okay, cool. If you lived here, this is what jobs that you could get. This is the industries around. This is the type of wage you could get. You explore the places. These are the schools. But it's a TV show that does that and does it for all different parts of Australia to show you what it would really be like. Because some people just want to burn it all down and have a tree change and have a sea change and have a get the fuck out of here change.
So it's superficially like a travel type show.
Yes. Oh, and you know those real estate shows where like, just pop on down to Newcastle. Look at this wonderful spot. And like the real estate shows just show you the real estate houses and all that sort of stuff. But it's meant to be just as straight
warts and all.
Warts and all. Hey, this is what it would be. But not even turning it down to warts bad. It would just be like, hey, this is just a reality look of what it would be like to live here.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's the show.
All right. So how are you deciding which? Because there's a lot of, I've noticed there are more than 10 places.
Yeah. That's
maybe even 100. So that's a lot of episodes. So like which?
Well, you don't have to do
you
everyone.
choose?
Well, you just
How do you
choose.
choose?
Oh, you know what you do? You hook up with one of those real estate sites and just be like, outside of the metro area, what are the next 10 places that you'd go to that are like 100 Ks out from
No,
metro?
I want to keep those leeches out of it.
What leeches?
The
The
real
actual
estate people. I'm going pure Daly. I'm going to say, what can John Daly, where could he live? We get him.
Okay.
And he has to go around to all these places, and they go, well, for your 1.4 mil that you wasted on a mansion in Florida, which is now just a heap. What you could have done is have this beautiful 3-bedroom freestanding brick arrangement.
Well, it's not just the house. That's the thing.
It's
right?
not. It's not just
Be like, here, you could have this house plus John Daly.
I understand. There's more to it.
Yeah. Now you would, if you want to have a wage that you could live at, you now run the local general store, or it's a big wheat industry here. So you're now in charge of fixing machinery that does wheat.
Yep.
That's the show. And then John Daly does these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can he still play golf?
He can. Oh, well, it's up to him. But it'd be hard for him to, well, that might be part of it.
Well, it might depend where he's living.
Yeah.
There's like, well, you're going to need to be full-time on the wheat grinder.
Yes.
There's no time.
There's no golf
not
clubs
for golf,
around.
John Daly.
No golf clubs, John.
No.
It is just all croquet. So you're going to have to swap it up.
And it's called The Daily Grind with John Daly.
So is the start of the series just showing his house in a shambles?
Yeah.
He's just standing out the front.
He's a broken man.
Yes.
He's weeping.
Yes.
Picking up he's going through and picking up pieces of plaster and broken photo frames and whatnot.
He's I can't live here in Florida anymore. I will go to anywhere else in the world, but it must be 10 places in a series that I can go.
Yeah. There must be exactly the number of places as there are episodes in the series.
So this is a good idea.
The Daily Grind. Greenlit.